ASMR Magical Tools. Hello, Taurus. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Taurus, this is going to be the yearly forecast for 2022. So, first of all, we're going to start with the yearly overview, and I'm going to go through month by month. And then the second part of the reading will be a Celtic Cross that covers the whole year, and then I'm also going to use astrological cards to lay out a 12 houses spread around the Celtic Cross spread. So, and I have my crystal here that I'll be using to clarify for the month by month reading. Instead of pulling more cards, I'm going to do that intuitively. So let's get started, shall we? And go ahead and think also about your intentions for 2022, what you would like to see happening over the next year. So, January of 2022. We have two major arcana cards, and then we also have this minor arcana, Queen of Pentacles reversed. Taurus, this could very well be your energy entering 2022. You might not quite be feeling yourself. So the Queen of Pentacles is a card about feeling like you are financially stable. It can also be a card of bursting through glass ceilings, and women being successful in business. Although the Queen of Pentacles doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, right? We also have the Fool upright and the Wheel of Fortune upright. So things will be turning in your favor, and it will be to your benefit to proceed without a lot of preconceived notions. So the Fool being somebody who kind of just goes into things blindly, not really a lot of advanced planning. And also an invitation to do things in a way that you haven't done them before. Because we have that Queen of Pentacles reversed, and then we have the Fool upright. Let's look at the month of February. So, we do have the Nine of Swords coming out. anxiety and stress for you in the month of February. We have the Emperor in the reverse, which can be somebody being like overly harsh with you, especially when it comes to following the rules. The Emperor can be an authority figure with whom you are at odds. Also, this could be like a boss or a supervisor. And we also have the Two of Cups reversed, so there could be an ending of a relationship. So a few things that are stressful for you in the month of February, but we'll get some more messages about that after I'm done pulling all of the cards. And February is still very early in the year, and it's a very short month, so I wouldn't worry about that too much, right? And you could always fix those problems now. And then you won't have to deal with them in February. Alright, so for the month of March, we have an interesting combination of cards. First of all, we have this Three of Wands reversed, so you're waiting for something. You're waiting for the energies that you have put out in the world to return to you in some tangible form. It's kind of like the threefold card that everything that you put out comes back to you threefold, but because it's in the reverse, in March you might just be waiting. We do have the Five of Cups also, that there's some kind of disappointment about how things have gone. Obviously, February is shaping up to be a little bit challenging for you. So the disappointments might be stemming from those things. But then, on a positive note, we have here the King of Pentacles. And the King of Pentacles is somebody who, this could be your energy, Taurus. You could be coming back around again and feeling very strong in your sense of self in March, actually. Much more organized in your own existence, without all of the dead weight that had been holding you back before, at the beginning of the year. The King of Pentacles, too, can also be somebody who is financially stable and successful. So that might be something that is coming through for you at the end of February or into the month of March, that you do end up with more financial stability. Financial stability. And now the month of April. So some of you are going to be celebrating your birthday in the month of April, and let's see what we have coming through for you. Well, first of all, we've got money could be coming in for you very quickly. In the month of April, we've got the Knight of Pentacles here. And we've got like the only pentacle court card that hasn't come out yet is the Page. But we do see the court cards of the Suit of Pentacles represented very heavily in the first part of 2022. So, Taurus, you're coming through very strongly in your reading so far. We also have the Hanged Man reversed. You are not putting your plans on hold for anybody at this time. You're coming out of this period of stagnancy, and there are implications with the Hanged Man that there's a sort of of sacrifice involved, that you believe that what you're doing is for the greater good, even if it's holding you back personally. So you're not going to be tolerating that out of other people anymore. We have the Knight of Swords in the reverse. Now this can be air sign energy. But the Knight of Swords is also somebody who fights for what they believe to be right, like a social justice warrior. And it's possible, because this is coming out in the reverse, that in April you are not fighting for others and their grandiose causes at this time. You might be retreating into your own endeavors. That Knight of Swords, too, can be a bit misguided. So it's also possible that there are ways in which you are persuaded to use your resources for misguided causes. But again, we'll be looking at this with the crystal. So the month of May. So a lot more of you Taurians are going to be celebrating your birthday in the month of May. And what do we have here? Well, for one, we've got the Seven of Swords. And this Seven of Swords, you can see this person is kind of wearing like a mask, and then their face on top is kind of hideous, and the face that they have underneath is completely different, so they're hiding things about themselves. The Seven of Swords can be about self-sabotage and betrayal, but it can also be about people taking advantage of you, treachery, and other things like that. But I think because we have the World card coming out here also, that could be a cycle coming to an end for you. And if you are able to conquer that need in yourself to sacrifice your own needs for the needs of others, Taurus, this Six of Wands could end up coming out upright for you in May. But the Six of Wands, I think, is showing up reversed at this time, because that is something that you are going to have to conquer in yourself. And I know that it's very tempting to feel like you can help others, but you cannot always help others, and it's better for you to conserve your strength and your resources for yourself. I'm not saying don't ever help other people, but it looks like there might be things about that are going to require you to do some shadow work going into 2022. No judgment, of course. I mean, I've been guilty of being taken advantage of too, so it's not like this is unique to you, Taurus. And maybe that would be a good thing to do a video about. So the next month is the month of June, going into the summer months. We've got the Six of Cups, nostalgia, and things returning from your past. We have the Four of Swords also, which could be a time of rest, recuperation, and also you can see on this particular card, she is gazing into a crystal ball that will give you the time to be circumspect and to evaluate a lot of things that have occurred over the past half of the year and before also. And then we have the Three of Cups reversed. I would watch out for partying. And then, of course, like Three of Cups reversed could also be that there is some kind of romantic situation where people are not really establishing boundaries with each other effectively as far as other partners go. Not necessarily a third-party situation, because see here, like back in February, there could be a breakup, right? So you might not even be dating somebody new at this point, but you might be dating around and have trouble, like, establishing good dating boundaries with people. And of course, the Three of Cups reversed can be like about partying. So now the month of July. We have the Ace of Swords reversed. This is that you need to make a change, and you might be hesitant to do so. I would say that if the Six of Wands back here in May ends up coming out upright, then this Ace of Swords also, by the time you reach the month of July, could end up righting itself also, but it might be reversed because you might not be ready at this time to make the changes that you need to make in the month of July, which is reasonable and healthy, Taurus, so don't worry about it. We have your card, the Hierophant, coming out reversed here. So again, kind of falling out of your own energy. The Hierophant reversed could be also a need to challenge things about the status quo, Hierophant can also be about a divorce when it's in the reverse like this. But we have the Strength card here. And the Strength card being upright here for you. This is your fellow fixed sign Leo's card in the Major Arcana, and I think Aries. I've only done the Aries reading so far. Has also come out upright in their reading. So I always love to see the Strength card coming out upright for people. The Strength card also speaks to a level of mastery. Not quite the same level of mastery as like the Temperance card, for example, or the World card, but like the first time you do a candle spell and it works. That's kind of the energy of the Strength card. Whispering to animals. Being able to communicate with the world around you in ways that are not strictly language driven, but are intuitively driven. August. Got two cards. Here we go, the third card. Oh boy. So in August might be a bit challenging for you also, Taurus. We have the Five of Pentacles in the upright, feeling left out in the cold, feeling like Boo-Boo the Fool, possibly feeling like a clown, is what I get from the card in this deck. I really love how these cards are illustrated. I'm glad that I bought this deck. But the Five of Pentacles doesn't have to be totally devastating. Now, here's the thing, is that we also have the Ten of Swords and the Death card, and they're coming out reversed here in August. So what that tells me is that there are things going on in August that you are choosing, that you are actively ignoring. And that these changes, it's like, go ahead and just rip off the Band-Aid, you know? Why wouldn't you just make those changes while you have the opportunity to do so on your own terms? Remember, back here much is necessary. So hopefully we'll get more information about that when I look into the crystal. Alright, the last third of 2022. For those of you Taurians who have not clicked off of the video yet, it's a little disheartening so far, I'm afraid. But not so bad. Not so bad. And life is just like that, you know. We're all going to be going through a lot of personal growth over the next year. So I wouldn't take it too hard. And we will get some more messages from the crystal, and then I will be doing the year overview, Celtic Cross with the 12 houses spread. So that will give us a lot more detailed information, because I'm going to be real with you, Taurus. I think a lot of these situations are cropping up because you are, for one, like making sacrifices that you don't need to make for people who really could care less about you. They wouldn't pee on your foot if it was on fire. And that you are kind of sticking your head in the sand about some of these things and choosing to ignore really important issues that need to be taken care of. And it looks like a lot of them involve like romantic partnerships. So obviously this isn't going to resonate with everyone. And hopefully we'll take it more as a warning, because this is going to be coming out like at the end of 2021 with plenty of time to kind of revisit a lot of these things and do this shadow work by next year, so that hopefully these things won't be an issue for you by then. So the month of September is actually shaping up to look really good for you. We have the star, and I really love the star card in this deck. This person looks a lot like Madonna, like when Madonna was in her 40s. Somebody who has achieved all of their hopes and dreams. So it could be also that in August there are some huge changes that you end up going through, and that on the other side of that you actually end up getting everything that you always wanted. We have the Ace of Pentacles. This can be a new job, new career, and there are a lot of pentacles here in your reading, Taurus, which is excellent, excellent, excellent. And then we do have the High Priestess coming out reversed. So, to me this says that there are still secrets that you need to uncover. That there is knowledge you have yet to discover. That there are still questions left unanswered for you in the month of September. But that's not necessarily bad. It just means that you need to keep searching. So October. In the month of October, we have the sun. The sun looks very good here in the month of October, so it looks like in September everything starts really turning around for you. We have the 10 of Pentacles reversed, and we also have the 4 of Cups reversed. So these are about options that could be opening up for you toward the end of the year. And that things are going to be really good in October, and you'll be able to see how those things are being set up, but that the options and the payoff might not be coming in the month of October. November. So we have 3 cards reversed for November. And that makes sense because November is like over a year away from when I'm doing this reading. So some of these things are still kind of up in the air that you can make these changes. And it's going to depend on how everything plays out for you in the meantime as to how these energies come into your life when November comes around. We have this 5 of Swords, and it's showing up reversed, but 5 of Swords is a very definitive victory. It is a victory in which there is a clear winner and a clear loser. And because that is the case, you might end up alienating somebody, or someone might end up alienating you. We have the Judgment card. You might be tested. This could be something as concrete as getting your real estate license or getting a new certification for some kind of professional career. It could also just be like having gone through all of this shadow work over the previous year and coming through it stronger and better than before. And we have the 7 of Wands, and the 7 of Wands is also showing up reversed here. So it could be that once you reach the top, you find out who your real friends are. This 7 of Wands energy and this 5 of Swords energy together tells me that there's going to be a lot of potential for rivalry that gets very bitter towards the end of the year in 2022. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, Taurus. Remember I said that these energies are showing up reversed because they're very far in the future. We can't know for sure how you are going to handle all of the events in the meantime, right? So these energies have the potential to change for or against your benefit, and it's really going to hinge on your ability to do the work in the meantime and continue to do the work and not sacrifice yourself unnecessarily. Because when you do that, you're basically just defeating yourself for the benefit of your foes. And yes, the 7 of Wands and the 5 of Swords cards just kind of give me an impression that we might be talking about actual foes here and not just rivals. So now, Taurus, let's look at the month of December for 2022. This is going to be a very interesting year for you. So we have the 5 of Wands. Again, with the rivalry, you can see like she's kind of peeking out of the corner of her eye at you. She's got this mouth on this side of her face, so she's kind of giving you side eye, kind of paying attention to what you're doing out of the side of her face. We do have the 3 of Swords reversed. I don't think you're going to be letting these things affect you. I think you're going to be shrugging off any interpersonal conflict that comes your way. And we have the Page of Cups reversed. You are no longer going to be offering things to people who are not offering anything back in return. That's what I get from that. For you in December, Page of Cups can be an offering from somebody else. But in this particular context, I take it as you having done the work and conquering that part of yourself. So now I'm going to come in here with the geode and start looking month by month. And so we've got the first month here. What do I need to tell Taurus about January of 2022, especially in the context of the cards that I have pulled here? Watch for February. Okay, well, we already know that, but what? It's like in traffic. Like when you're in traffic, right? And you're watching for cars. When you stop at a stop sign, you're not just watching you're watching for cars, you're watching for pedestrians, you're watching for people who aren't paying attention to what they're doing. So just be very watchful in the month of January, because it's going to help you out with all of the circumstances that come into play in February. Remember, fortune is turning in your favor in January, so all of these things have the potential to go several different ways. Alright, let's look at February. What do I need to tell Taurus about the month of February 2022? He didn't ask you if you wanted to stay overtime. So I think there's like some kind of situation, especially we had this Emperor in the reverse showing up, where your supervisor might be giving you much more work than you can get done within a certain period of time, and therefore you're having to work overtime, but it's never really talked about, like the workload and the fact that you are staying overtime. And then there's all these things, like if you don't get your overtime approved, like they can say that they don't want to pay you or something. It's gonna be something like that. Like, I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna play out, but like, yeah, time budgets. So give this person time budgets, and when they inevitably come back to you and tell you that you should be able to get it done in less time, go ahead and tell them. Then find somebody who will, because I'm not going to do that. I know my limitations. Because a lot of times these people just have, like, they talk a tough game, but they're not really, like, it's not like they have options, you know? It's not like if you weren't there, they would have somebody who could get it done in the amount of time that they wish. And it's about building, like, a trust with your supervisor, and if that's not going to be there, then it's not worth staying. It really isn't. Okay, let's look at the month of March. What do I need to tell Taurus for the month of March 2022? I'm hearing something like, I'm hearing a lot of things about body maintenance, okay? And they're making a link between dental exams and dental dams. And like, and sexual gratification, basically. So like, when was the last time that you felt gratified, you know, by another person? And then also bringing up dental hygiene, like, at the same time. And I don't know if those two things are linked somehow, like maybe for you specifically. Obviously, like, this is a general reading, so I don't know if this is like something common to Tauruses, but it's like the ways that you take care of yourself the ways that you care for yourself. And that being really important in the month of March for you. Even like on this Three of Wands card, like it's very sensual, and she's got the wands are like on her. It's like this rose petal that's like hanging out of her mouth even. So there being aspects of oral hygiene, and then also gratification. What about the month of April? What do I need to tell Taurus about the month of April for 2022? Some of you need to get your car registration renewed. But that's obvious because if your birthday is in May or in late April, then it's time for you to get your car registration renewed. That's a no-brainer. How about you tell me something profound and useful? I mean, like maybe you just need to focus on these administrative matters in the month of April and make sure that going into your next solar return, you have all your paperwork in order. So like in March, there's a lot about like getting your own physical affairs in order, and then in April there's more about getting like your paperwork and your government affairs in order. What is going on in May for Taurus in the year of 2022? There's going to be something in May where congratulations are in order, and not just because you're getting older. There is a completion here with the World card, and this Six of Wands reversed. Remember, we're not sure how that's going to look in the future, if that's going to be a victory deferred, or if that just means that you don't yet see how that is going to come through. But that there are going to be things, and I heard something specifically about this Seven of Swords being a green-eyed monster. So like somebody who's jealous of you, and they're only going to be jealous of you if you're like crazy successful, right? So keep that in mind. Now we're looking at the month of June. What do I need to tell Taurus for the month of June for 2022? Somebody has you in mind for a project. I kind of see like San Francisco, and this is an older gentleman who you might have worked with this person before, but all of a sudden they get like some kind of funding come through that they're really able to offer you an opportunity that you wouldn't have had otherwise. This is going to be something that is like, it could be that you get quite a bit of money from this. It could be quite a bit of exposure. And it could be a really good way to showcase your talents. Now, we did get a lot about rest and a lot about things returning from the past in June. So, whatever this is might be something that gets brought up in June, and then you have time to execute this plan. How about July? What are we looking at for July of 2022? Some of you could be working with sex magic. But law of attraction, there is some particular, and that's what this strength card is showing us here. This is law of attraction or sex magic or some other power of manifestation that you are tapping into in the month of July. And I think a lot of that, though, is going to hinge on your ability to do the work in all of the areas of your life so that your vibration is where it needs to be. You need to be vibrating at a certain frequency in order to be aligned with your manifestations, and that's how you draw them to you, etc., etc. So I would just watch out for that. Because you are showing up here as the Hierophant, but in the reverse, such that there are things about your powers at this time that, like, it could be things about, like, not being in your full self. So you could be needing to do some shadow work, you could be just ignoring things, or not, because like down here in September, remember we have the High Priestess reversed, so it's also possible there are secrets that you're not privy to at that time, and that's what's holding you back. But it doesn't necessarily need to be the case, because we are doing a reading all about the distant future. All of these cards that are in the reverse have the potential to flip upright. What about the month of Augustus? August could end up being a really easy time for you. Somebody left their backpack on the train. I don't know if this was you, or this could have been a friend of yours, or you could have found somebody's backpack on the train. And it has, like, all of the documents. I kind of sense that, like, you have a good friend who is kind of a nomadic person. And they end up leaving their bag on a train, and you actually end up being the one who finds it. Or possibly, like, you were traveling with them and they almost left it behind, and then you, like, snag it at the last minute, and you're all like, hey, are you just gonna leave your life on this train? You might want to take that with you. But it's that kind of an energy where somebody's life is, like, kind of in your hands, and you are the one who ends up making or breaking something for them. And this isn't one of those situations like the Hanged Man where you're overextending yourself or anything like that. This is just simply being like, hey, are you going to take your backpack with you when the person leaves the train? And they're going to be very grateful to you for that. And there might be, I don't know if there's really going to be like a reward for that, but that person is going to, they might feel indebted to you and be more likely to do you favors because of your good deed. How about the month of September? Let's look at the month of September. What's going on in September for Taurus? Oh, he didn't ask you yet. It's like you're waiting for someone to ask you to prom. them say, like, prom, but not... But then saying that, like, prom is short for problem. So that, he didn't ask you to his problem yet. I'm not entirely sure what that means. But, you know, there are a lot of things about prom that make it really stressful. And so it can be a very magical time in all of our lives and a rite of passage in many ways, but there are also things about it that can make it really stressful, like who's asking who and who's hooking up with who, leading up to prom, and all of these other issues that teenagers don't have the frontal lobe capabilities to deal with in a compassionate way. So it's some situation like that where, like, somebody might have asked you to do something, and this could be a really great opportunity for you. But it might end up being a bit more work than you had initially thought, because this other person might not have the frontal lobe capabilities to really hold up their end of the bargain. But it could, you know, it could be a really great opportunity for you, so I wouldn't just turn it down outright, but be prepared for that. And I think that's why, although we had like the Star and the Ace of Pentacles come out, that's why we have this High Priestess coming out in the reverse, because it's gonna look very different going into it than it ends up looking on the back end, on the business end. Alright, October. So now let's look 1 year into the future, Taurus. Taurus, what's going on in October of 2022? Something about tear gas, protests and tear gas. So I don't know if you are going to be involved in any protests in October, and to be fair, you might not know that at this time either. But I'm sensing civil unrest somewhere in October that you might be, Taurus. Such that, like, if you work in an urban area, or if you end up spending a lot of time in urban areas toward the end of 2022, it's entirely possible that you're going to find yourself in a situation where people are being tear gassed. So, just be very careful about that. You might want to... You don't want to wear a cloth mask. You want to be wearing like a gas mask if you get tear gassed. Something that is going to keep the agents away from your face. And obviously be wearing like... Or they say like using things like milk. And other things that will, it leaves like an oil, like a film substance, and that's why it's so destructive. So you want to make sure that that you have ways of combating that. And I don't know very much about that. You would want to look online, because there are a lot of people out there who have way more experience with that than I do. So don't take my word for it. How about November? November of 2022. What are we looking at for Taurus? You will have gone through a lot of personal growth by this point of the year. So that's really cool, and I would like to say a preliminary congratulations. But what else does Taurus need to know for November? You will still be alive in November, most likely. I mean, obviously that's not going to resonate with everyone. Not everyone can still be alive in November of 2022. But you will survive all of these trials and tribulations leading up to November, is what I'm saying. And you will have gone through so much personal growth, you might not even recognize yourself. Like on this card, there's like 3 versions kind of the same person. And she's like standing on the surface of the moon because it's the moon power tarot. And it's like the different, like when they separate the colors out to make 3D and stuff. So she's moving into like a new dimension of self. And I think by November, like, you're really going to be tapping into that energy. What about the month of December 2022? Watch out for the haters. I would say keep like one eye open behind your back. People could be backbiting you and like saying shit that's false, that's like patently false and rude and incorrect. So just, I would say, that you're going to have an easy time shrugging all of that off and not letting it get to you. But like, you do want to be aware of who your friends are, so it's not as much about like pay attention to what your haters are saying. It's like paying attention to who your haters are. Pay attention to the people that are always there when you fail and never there when you succeed. And inversely, the people who are always there when you succeed, and then when you're failing and you need help, they're nowhere to be found. And just pay attention to people's behaviors around you and don't brush that off too easily. Alright, so now we are going to go into the overview reading. And I'm going to be using Serpent Fire decks for this part. The She-Wolf Tarot, and also the Celestial Bodies deck. I'll be using part of that deck. I won't be using the whole thing. I'm mostly going to be using like the astrological cards from that deck. And I literally cannot shuffle this lengthwise, like my hands are so small. So loud, so rude, I'm sorry. Alright, babes. So, do you want me to start out in the past, or do you want me to start out in the current? I kind of like to start in the past, because I feel like it gives like a good frame of reference. Yeah, okay. So we have the Two of Swords here in the past. That would be a decision that you made. And it is a decision because this card is upright. This could be a decision that you're faced with, like right now when you're watching the reading. And that's going to be different for everybody, obviously, because like, not everybody's going to watch this reading at the same time. But Two of Swords is a decision between two things, and you can see that this person is willfully covering their eyes. So trying to make themselves ignorant to what's going on. Here, in the current state of affairs, you have the Tower as your significator in the reading overall. The will of Mars, some kind of catastrophic event. And remember, we did have like a lot of cards of change coming out for you in the month-by-month part of the reading. This is crossed by the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is burdens and oppression. So, you can only have so many burdens stacked on top of you, Taurus, before finally the House of Cards just falls over. So, I think that overall the Tower is going to end up being very good for you over 2022 because it is going to help you shed all of these burdens that you're carrying. More about the current state of affairs is this Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is about potency and is an active, fertilizing force, and very much about power. But the Ace of Wands is showing up here in the reverse, so there could be ways, especially when it comes to this catastrophic change that we see with the Tower card, that there are going to be catastrophic changes that leave you feeling powerless. But I don't think that's necessarily how you should see it. We do have 2 4s here. So this card represents how you see the current state of affairs, and this card represents how other people see your current situation, right? So the 4 of Swords is all about rest, and I'm hearing relaxation, but even more than that, it's about rejuvenating oneself, giving yourself a chance to heal and recover and recuperate from different things that have been going on in your life. Oh, we have some really interesting dichotomies going on here, so we'll get to the next one in a minute. But basically, so like in the past, you had this 2 of Swords that was a choice that you needed to make between 2 paths. And so now you might need time to recuperate from that, to heal from that, and it might have left you feeling drained and somewhat powerless. Or not necessarily powerless, but kind of, I don't want to use the word impotent and make anyone feel like I'm judging them. But that being like kind of the feeling that you have that like your manifestation is ebbing, or that like your creative powers are kind of like your creative juices aren't flowing like you would like to see them, right? So it's very interesting that we have this Ace of Wands reversed under the Tower. But it makes sense because we have the Ten of Wands crossing and kind of blocking that energy, right? So that makes sense. Over here, we have this 4 of Cups. So other people from the outside, people see that you have some really good opportunities available to you and that you're not taking them. Now, that could just be an outside perception, because sometimes it looks to other people like it would be very easy for you to like just reach out and grab something, but that might not be the reality of the situation, and they're not going to know that. So this really interesting dichotomy I was talking about, in the future here we have the 2 of Cups. this is potential for great love, okay, coming into your life in the future. And it's in the upright, so this could be by the end of 2022, potentially. And I say this because, like, here in the past, and from your point of view, we have the Two of Swords, and we have the Four of Swords. And swords are a suit that are very, like, cutthroat. They have a reputation for being very harsh. It's an active energy, it's air energy. But then over here, from an outsider's perspective, and in the future energies, then we have the Two of Cups and the Four of Cups. So, cups are emotion, like swords are the logic, and then cups are the emotion, and it's a passive, receptive energy. So I feel like you're kind of coming out of a period in your life where things were very harsh, kind of overly logical, possibly. And you're going to be coming into a time where there's much more emotional understanding, especially when it comes from other people looking into your situation. Whereas, like, before, like, things might have been very harsh when it came to, like, other people's perceptions of you. Up here in your hopes and fears, you have the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands is upright. So this really says to me that, like, you perceive this Ace of Wands reversed energy as being something that holds you back. And this Knight of Wands is fire energy. So a very, like, potent, but very, like, burn the candle at both ends kind of an energy. Very fast moving, very all consuming. But you're hoping for, like, that kind of spark, basically, to come into your life. Up here in the midheaven, we have the Three of Wands. You will be getting what you have put your energies out to get. So, any energies that you have put out there returning to you threefold is how I see the Three of Wands card as playing out. And finally, Taurus, I'm so glad you stuck with me. If you're still watching this video, I know it's not the end, but, like, put, like, a duck or some other bird emoji down in the comments, because you got the 10 of Cups. So we started out with this 10 of Wands crossing energy, and we're coming out of it with this emotional fulfillment by the end of 2022. Coming out of 2022 with great emotional fulfillment. And that is what our future cards were predicting. So, overall, like, I do see kind of a rough start here, but I don't think it's a rough start that you're not anticipating. I think it's a rough start that has already begun, and that on the other side of it, you're going to be in a much better place. Alright, so now from the Celestial Bodies deck, I am going to be using these cards. These ones are the planetary placements, and then I also have, like, moon phases and other astrological events, and the astrological signs. It's really difficult to get all of these far enough apart. It's not that hard. I did a much better job this time than I did for the Aries reading. Don't tell them. Shh. Don't tell Aries. They get their reading first every time, so that's the side effect of that. Alright, and finally the astrological signs. And then we're going to deep dive right into it. So, Taurus shows up in the 10th house of career. So this is going to be extra relevant if your sun is in your 10th house. If your moon is in your 10th house. Or if you came into this reading wanting to know more about your career. But these could apply to everyone who has a Taurus placement they're curious about. Alright, so this is the first house. It's the house of beginnings and the house of self. And remember that it's back here next to this Two of Swords in our Celtic Cross spread. So we have Neptune in Aries, and we also have the card for the descendant coming out. So that would be like if you had Libra rising, then Aries would be your descendant sign, and having Neptune in your descendant in the house of other. So that's having these energies kind of flip-flopped, and I did get a lot of flip-flopping energy from your month-by-month reading, Taurus, in that it seemed like sometimes you were really confident in your sense of self, and then other times you were having a very difficult time maintaining that same sense of self. Neptune can be a relationship with your higher power, and it can also be related to psychic attunement and divination. And you could be using those energies to aid and augment in your relationships, your one-on-one relationships with others. So people like romantic partners, business partners, even your open enemies. And that is in your first house. That could be like having to do with that decision with the Two of Swords also. That could have been how you ended up working out that situation. So down here next to the second house, that's where we have this Four of Swords, which is about rest and rejuvenation. And here in the second house, which is, that's your native house, but it has to do with finance and stability. So we have Sun in Pisces, And the sun is a very good planet to get here in the second house because it never goes retrograde for one, and it's the center of our solar system. So it's a very strong energy. Sun in Pisces would be late February and early March also. We did see possible opportunities, I think, coming in March. And new moon. So the new moon that would be actually that the sun and the moon are both in Pisces, because the new moon is going to be conjunct the sun. The full moon is in opposition to the sun. So that is a lot of Pisces energy, and it could be talking about financial stability in late February and early March. Pisces also, it's a mutable water sign, so there's a lot of possibility there. Of all of the astrological signs, Pisces is very receptive, very intuitive, and can also have to do with the imagination and just being open to new things, right? Which is good. But Pisces can also mark the ending of a cycle. So there could be the ending of a financial cycle for you, and you're kind of in the new moon period of that here with that Four of Swords, that you're kind of taking a break. You'll have the opportunity to be adequately rested in 2022. Which means you'll be having the best year ever. Okay, let's look at the Imam Sili. So that's the 3rd and 4th houses here. And the Imam Sili, we had, remember, the Ace of Wands, and it was coming out in the reverse. So the 3rd house is communication. It can also be short distance travel or siblings. We have Venus in the sign of Virgo in the 3rd house, which can have to do with working out. Virgo is a very analytical sign, very detail oriented. So Venus having to do with finance, like paycheck finance, and also having to do with romance, obviously. So finance when it's in the 2nd house with you, Taurus, and romance when it's in the 7th house with Libra. Say that 7 times fast. We also have the lunar energy of the eclipse here with Venus and Virgo. So I think that you're going to be having kind of an emotional revolution when it comes to the way that you communicate or the way that you don't communicate with other people. I don't think this is just going to be related to like working out boundaries with others. Like a lot of things just get assumed or brushed under the rug in relationships. And it's just easier to go with the flow than it is to really hash out like what is going on. What is actually happening here? What are we trying to achieve together? And this Ace of Wands, you might be feeling bogged down a bit by this communication. But there will come, with that lunar eclipse especially. Lunar eclipse can also be kind of like a dark night of the soul. So once you've flushed that through, then everything on the other side of that is going to be so much brighter and so much better. The 4th house is home and family. And we have Black Moon Lilith coming out here. Black Moon Lilith has to do, it is a lunar placement energy. Black Moon Lilith, it was thought for a while that there were 2 moons and that one of the moons was never visible. was Black Moon Lilith. But now it describes like a part of the moon's orbit placement in relation to the Earth. It's kind of like south node and north node of the moon. But what Black Moon Lilith is all about is the ways in which you are vilified and which you feel vilified. The ways in which other people try to make you their enemy. And often those are our strengths. So it's a very complex and rewarding energy to work with. And remember, this is still in the context of that Ace of Wands in reverse. So, we have Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. Gemini has a reputation for being very dualistic and not necessarily mercurial, but can have aspects of that. Being very creative, a good communicator. Remember what we were talking about in the third house, though. And we do have midheaven coming out with that. So midheaven is all about destiny. So your destiny, as far as your home and your family is concerned, is going to be rectifying all of the ways that the words that come out of your mouth have a tendency to have alienated you from your family and from your home also. And sometimes you can have falling outs with your family and it affects your living situation greatly. So there are going to be things about this activity here in the third house that spill over here into the fourth that have to do with your origin story. I'm so sorry, my stomach makes all these weird gurgly noises. Has to do with your origin story and has to do with your early childhood possibly as well, and the ways that you were taught to communicate and the communications that you were rewarded for and the communications you were punished for. Alright, so let's come over here to the fifth house. The fifth house is about creativity, romance, and children. We have the Four of Cups here. So this is all about possibilities that are open to you at this time. Current and active possibilities. Well, I say at this time, but probably beginning in 2022, right? Things that people see as opportunities that are open to you that you could be taking, but you're not. And it's very interesting. We have Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto has been in Capricorn for quite some time. I think its orbit is 12 years or something ridiculous like that. It takes over 200 years for it to complete a full orbit cycle through all of the signs. And this Pluto in Capricorn energy, there's a lot of volatility around jobs, and the ways that people have earned money have changed so much, drastically, over the time that Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn. And we have the first quarter moon here also. So I think the potential for you to make money in a creative endeavor, for you to have a career in a creative field, or working with children possibly also, you are just... This is like Three of Pentacles energy as far as your progression through that job is concerned, that you have enough experience to really start getting the good jobs in that field. And Pluto in Capricorn is going to kind of make that kind of stretchy for you. It's going to open up the horizons for that to occur. And that's why this Four of Cups is here, that other people see, where you could have a lot of opportunities to make money in a creative field or in working with children. Let's look here at the 6th house. So the 6th house is daily routines and health, and it is over here by the 2 of Cups in the future, the future, the future. And we have Mars in Libra. So Mars, while I'm doing this reading, is currently in Libra, but that's kind of beside the point here. Mars in Libra is a very Knight of Swords energy, that you are fighting for justice, that you are fighting for what is right. The Queen of Swords is fighting for the truth, and more importantly for her truth, but the Knight of Swords is more like a social justice warrior type energy, somebody who is championing a cause, but is not necessarily benefiting from the work that they're doing, as a part of that group. And we have the Imam Seelai here. Oh golly, come on, focus for me, please. There we go. How beautiful is that card, right? So the Imam Seelai, remember, is down here with the 3rd and 4th houses in the birth chart, and it is your origin story. So remember, here in the 4th house, we had Black Moon, Lilith, and Gemini. And then again here in the 6th house, we have Mars in Libra and the Imam Seelai. So it could be that you championed a lot of causes when you were younger, and it had a tendency to alienate you from your family. And so coming into your own life, that may have affected your health, or your health may be tied up in that in some way, such that you need to advocate for yourself more, and that it's important for you to do that. And then as far as daily routines are concerned, your work may have become integrated into your daily routine, such that it's something that is always on your mind. And the 2 of Cups being there, it could be something that you look for in your partners also, that is something important to you in a partner. Okay, so now we're going to talk about those partners in the 7th house. The 7th house is the house of other, whereas that 1st house is the house of self. It is your descendant house. And we have South Node and North Node in the sign of Aquarius. And then along with that, we have the last quarter. So that's the waning moon headed into the new moon. And I think this is talking about a cycle ending regarding the way that you deal with relationships. South Node and North Node energies, this is your destiny and the things that you come into this life needing to correct, right? So we have Aquarius energy here, and Aquarius has to do with groups of people, and it has to do with iconoclasts and also novel behavior, things that have never, ever, ever been done before, right? So on the one hand, it has to do with groups of people. On the other hand, it has to do with things that alienate you from groups of people. Oh God, I'm sorry. I sucked my air in a weird way. I hope that's not too distracting. I'm sorry that I have a corporeal form. I promise next time that I'll show up in light body only, and that I can give you a reading based on reading the Akashic records directly. But for now, this is what we're gonna do, okay? So the way that you've interacted with groups of people may be how certain partners were drawn into your life in the past. And that moving forward, and the way that you're going to heal certain things in your life is by addressing the groups of people that you're interacting with and the groups of people from whom you are choosing your mates and partners. Because Two of Cups is definitely like a romantic energy, but it can speak to a wide variety of relationships. You can have like close friendships that are also Two of Cups, platonic relationships, things like that. These things coming into your life that really affect you. A friendship can affect you very greatly. Now we're going to look at the 8th house. The 8th house is about transitions. It's also about, it can be about inheritance, death, sex, and other people's resources. And remember, we had that Knight of Wands there. You want to be the sexiest. And Taurus, I suspect you already are the sexiest. We have a waxing gibbous moon in Sagittarius, which is a very sexy moon. It's almost full. So that would be probably like a full moon in Capricorn would be following that, right? And in the 8th house, so the moon in Sagittarius can be about shedding light on things that can improve the way that you raise your vibrations. And with the waxing gibbous energy, where the moon is almost full, like you're almost there, you're almost ready to transform into a butterfly, I suspect that you've been pupating for quite some time now, and that you are ready to break out of that shell here in 2022. I do see a lot of capacity for transformation for you, Taurus, and I know the transformation can be a little uncomfortable, and as a fellow fixed sign, I totally relate, but I think that you will be so much happier on the other side of all of this. So now we're going to talk about the midheaven. And the midheaven is the destiny that results directly from all of the activity down here in the Imam Silai, as it is filtered through the current state of affairs. And remember, we have the 3 of Wands coming out in the midheaven, so that is all of your chickens coming home to roost. And that's for better or for worse, I suspect in your case, for the best. We have Jupiter, very powerful planet in Scorpio, a very dark, occluded, and mysterious sign. And we also have solar eclipse energy coming through here. So Jupiter is about expansion, and it can be specifically about expansion of power and wealth. So that's kind of what we've been talking about with all of these wands here, and how we are coming back around again to this 3 of Wands, which is a completion in itself. The 10 of Wands is a completion. The Ace of Wands is a beginning. The Knight of Wands being that desire for that force, right? So Jupiter in Scorpio could be a desire for, like, a growth of your, sexual appeal to others, your erotic expansion, so to speak. And with this solar eclipse, this could be very transformative for you. The solar eclipse being the time when the Earth, the moon passes between the Earth and the sun at such an angle that the sun is completely blocked out. Because, with the new moon, the moon is passing between the sun and the Earth, right? The moon and the sun are conjunct. But with the solar eclipse, they line up just right. Jupiter in Scorpio, there could be like a inheritance also that increases your wealth And this could be because of that solar eclipse being like an unexpected type energy. It could be an unexpected inheritance. So let's look at the 10th house. As I mentioned, Taurus is in the 10th house in the reading. We have Mercury in Taurus, and that is with this waning crescent moon. So we have talked a lot already about your capacity for communication. And when I bring all these things up, Taurus, I don't think it's that you're not an effective communicator. I don't think it's that at all. I think it's that you prefer stability and comfort over uncomfortable communications that need to be had. And waning crescent is like right before the new moon. So this could be a cycle that you're closing out at this time. So now we're going to talk about the 11th house. And the 11th house is where we see this 10 of Cups. Remember, the 11th house is groups of people of which you are a part. It can also be social media. The 11th house can also have to do with your manifestation. We have Chiron in Cancer, and that is augmented by this waxing crescent moon. Chiron is the wounded healer, and is focusing on things in your life that you need to correct. In this case, Cancer being the emotional reciprocity between you and other people, especially in close one-on-one relationships, right? So this waxing crescent, you're moving out of this energy of Mercury in Taurus, where your communication has been focused on maintaining stability and comfort, and you're moving into this new energy of Chiron in Cancer and working out all the areas in which you have been afraid to communicate with others about emotions because you didn't want to destabilize certain situations. So that's going to be very good for you moving forward. And finally, we're going to circle back around to our Two of Swords energy here and talk about the 12th house. The 12th house is endings. It can also deal with incarceration, and it can deal with your psychic attunement and awareness. And we have Saturn in Leo in the 12th house, and that is being augmented by full moon energy. So the ending of this being that you are very established in creativity, in matters of the heart, in matters of passion. Leo deals with all of your passions, so that's creativity, that's romance, that can be your children. Saturn is a very established energy. This is an energy that takes a long time to develop. It's a very slow-moving energy. So this might have been something that took a very long time to develop, but now, with this full moon cycle, it will be reaching its peak in 2022. And I'm so excited for you, Taurus. So I hope that a lot of you stuck around because, the month by month can be a little depressing, and that's why I like to do the overview reading, because usually that picks everybody's spirits up. And now finally, to close out our DELUXX guidance for 2022. I do have the prehistory of the dark side. Prehistory of the Far Side by Gary Larson to do our bibliomancy. Is this the one? Alright, so it's this comic right here. And basically, it's like the class with a bunch of cavemen in it, and the teacher is saying, well, I've got your final grades, and I'm sorry to tell you that not everybody is going to be moving up. And you can see that, like, that particular character right there is, like, hairier than the rest of the class. The assumption being that he's not the one who's going to be moving up. But, of course, that's not always the case. You know, things are not always as they seem. And what Mr. Larson had to say for himself was a cartoon inspired by the memory of a classmate of mine in junior high. I think he's a senator now. So it just goes to show that you don't need to be super smart to be popular. And that appearances can be very deceiving. And you can see too that that this particular here, where is he? This guy, right in the front row, he's the one looking back over his shoulder. So maybe he's the one that didn't pass, right? And he's checking in on all of these other people, but especially, you know, especially this guy who sits behind him and maybe gave him a hard time throughout all the classes. And the lesson that you could take from that, Taurus, is to keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't worry as much about what other people are getting that you're not getting. As I mentioned before, you do want to know who's got it in for you. Insofar as you don't want to let those people get super close to you and suck your resources dry. But I think that you're going to be doing a great job moving forward through 2022 of focusing on your own work and thriving and prospering. Thank you so much, Taurus, for joining me for your deluxe guidance for the year of 2022. If you enjoyed this reading, please let me know down below. Either like or comment or subscribe or do all three. I do want to remind you that if you would like to purchase a personal reading, they are available through my website, which is linked in the description. I also have a Lenormand deck for sale, and you can access that through the website as well. And I will start selling custom videos very soon, I think. I've had a few requests for things. Alright, so thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again.